Yes, we are online. Hello, everyone. Dobry den. Today, dance number 96, we have a special guest with us from Ukraine, Katerina Smirnova. Hi, dobry den, Katya.
Добрий день.
Where are you right now?
In Kyiv, my hometown.
Yeah, great. We will have a talk with you after our dance. But first, we will bring the bodies in movements, and you chose the song on which we will dance. Can you tell us what it is?
It's a folk rock song. The name is translated like sunrise or sunset in Carpathians. And we put it on during our last peaceful hiking in the mountains on the very top, deep into the snow. So I have very nice memories connected with it. And I want the world to hear the song.
Super. Then is there a band's name?
Drudkh.
Drudkh, sorry. Okay. All right. So we will dance on that song and celebrate you because it's your birthday. So it's a dance for you. All right. And let's meet right after. There we go. That was your choice for today. Thank you. And you told me when you chose that song, I feel this song is the one I want to dance on today. Do you want to tell us if there's any real reason, specific reason for that? Why was that your song for today?
Mainly because of the mood and the instrument which is played on the track. It's a sort of the flute, which is also played by Kalush Orchestra, the one that's won.
Yeah.
And it's been given a huge rise in popularity of this instrument, but mostly because of the fight mode mood of the song. Makes you want to run and do stuff. So yeah.
Fight mode. Because yeah, some of us were asking, what is your job, your regular activity? And actually before the war, you were, and you still are, a singer and an actress, and you dive very much into movement as well as a dancer, and you work as a translator as well. Can you tell us what you've been mainly active with since the 24th of February?
Well, on the evening of the 23rd, I was involved in an online training by a choreographer I very much respect, Jos Baker from Peep and Tom Company in Belgium. And then the next morning I couldn't join because of the rockets. So, and I haven't danced for 2 months since, but now I'm getting back. The translation is a freelance job. I don't have too much time on it because I'm involved in volunteering, which could be easier to tell about if we show the photos I shared with you.
Absolutely. So we will now share some photos that Katerina shares with us, that she has been taken on different spots where she is volunteering since the 24th of February. Would you like me to go on one specific, or do you want to start with this one?
We can, they are a bit of a mix together, but I can work it through. So
Okay.
this is the photo I took yesterday, together with a volunteer group who traveled to the occupied villages in Ukraine. This one is in Chernihiv region, which is still heavily mined, and it's very light-filled villages, just with civilians whose homes have been bombed like this. So we start the renovation job by moving the debris from the what's left of the homes, so that they can start renovation with the help of some grants and again donations. Like, yeah, the cock was just in the middle of his song on that photo.
It keeps on singing. Yeah.
I wish it would have been a video, but
it's already precious to have this picture. Is this your bike in the back?
no, it's everyone moves by bikes there. It's a typical site in the villages, so it's just one of the locals.
Okay.
Could be next one. I don't know how much time we got.
As
This is
you want.
yeah. This is the first bomb shelter I've been to, and it had a drum kit, a barely workable drum kit, because I also drum, so I was excited. But it's been there for a while, but the pedal for the kick drum is still perfectly workable, and it's the only unit I'm missing in my drum kit. So I got the contacts of the people who run this bomb shelter, so to say. Just something.
Where was that?
It was in Ternopil region in the west, because my family moved from Kiev there. It's a long story, but somehow that's where I went to visit them. It's a long story, just in the West.
Okay. Yeah, because it's also very interesting with your journey is that you are moving through Ukraine very much. So it's interesting to know that these pictures are not taken in the same places.
Mhm.
This beautiful sky and the wheat, is it wheat?
It's again in Ternopil region where my grandmother lives, and I went to visit her. She is the chilliest person about the war of all I know. Just because maybe she doesn't hear the air raid sirens, but it's just a field which I dearly love. So I would go there and sing, because I didn't have much personal space because of the many events. But the cloud, the cloud which you can see in the main central part, it reminds me of a fighter jet, and we have been seeing a lot of those and hearing a lot of those, and I have made many recordings, and I got very much used, almost to the point of soothing of this sound. It's like I hear them and I know that they are ours, and I'm like, okay.
So you can recognize which sound in the air is from the Russians or from the Ukrainians?
It's not by the sound, it's just that because it's in the western part, they haven't been, the Russian fighter jets have not entered the airspace in the west yet. Only by rockets, but not by fighter jets. That's the, if there are no bombs following, it means it's our fighter jets. That's the only way I know. Next.
So, next picture.
This is the last photo I took before the invasion. We went to visit friends in Ivano-Frankivsk in the west, in the mountain region. And it's just the saying that's engraved there, take me down to the paradise city where the grass is green, take me home. Just something that caught my attention. And apart from that, being the last pic I took before the invasion, there's not much to say. It's just something that we do here in Ukraine. We share the last photos we took before the invasion. So that's mine. And the husband of the friend which we went to visit is now on the front lines. So that's the context.
Thank you. Okay.
This is the sunset in that village in Chernihiv region, which I've been to this past few days.
In the same region than this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I went to the field. I couldn't move much deeper into the field because of the mines, but I also couldn't resist following the sunset. And there was also an air raid alarm at that time. But I mean, look at the sunset.
It is beautiful. Yeah.
Could be next. This is in the church in Denmark. We traveled there for 5 days because we have sponsors, I guess, colleagues there with our opera team, our actors team, to put it short. And they wanted to organize an event to support us. So we went there for 5 days and we talked and we sang. And we were invited to a Sunday mass in this beautiful church. It's incredible. In the neighborhood, which is known for being like a refugee neighborhood, a very multicultural neighborhood. And people made a big deal of us Ukrainians being present there. They thanked us just for the fact that we are Ukrainians. And it messed with our minds because in Ukraine, we could be killed for that very same fact that we are Ukrainians. And here we are thanked for that. And we are made a big deal about just because we come from Ukraine. So we were people would approach us and talk to us, but we would be constantly like having this dissonance in our head. And we also sang there. It was overall super nice.
Yeah, that was like 1 or 2 months ago, right? More or less like after a few weeks of the large-scale invasion.
More like a month ago, yes.
Yeah, okay. And the last pick?
I've joined a few initiatives on rebuilding or renovating places in Ukraine, and that's the first one I joined in. It's we have been renovating a dormitory to house more internally displaced people. And I found it to be very much like my place. I have never done this before, but I enjoy the pure physicality of the work and the fatigue in the body after which you can do much else. But it's super nice, the atmosphere with the people, the common breaks that you have during the job. Somehow it's just what I needed at that time and still.
Wow. Thank you. I have a lot of questions, but maybe some of you also have some. Judith, you or Joël, yeah?
Judith ou à moi, tu dis?
Joël, tu peux
exprimer, ouais. J'ai une question par rapport à ce que j'ai compris, quelques bribes. Mon anglais n'est pas parfait, mais à un moment, Katerina a dit qu'elle chante, elle est à cet endroit et elle chante. Je me demandais qu'est-ce qu'elle chantait en cette période, s'il y avait des sons qui lui faisaient plus de bien que d'autres, s'il y avait des vibrations qu'elle préférait à d'autres, si elle chantait aujourd'hui comme avant, sur son chant plutôt. Qu'est-ce qu'elle chante et qu'est-ce qui lui fait du bien? Si Katerina, tu me comprends, merci, sinon Mad pour la traduction.
Est-ce que tu as compris? You got it?
Un peu. So you better just particular phrases, so you better do it.
I think you got the general question because I know you understand French and German quite well. But basically, she was wondering because you mentioned that you sang in some of these places, and she would be interested to know if your needs in terms of sounds, of lyrics, of kind of music has changed since the invasion. What kind of sounds or lyrics or music are good for you? Basically right now, what do you need as a music?
Well, I'm a traditional songs singer, Ukrainian traditional songs, and for many it was very hard. For many within our singing community, it was very hard because of the block in the throat to begin singing after the invasion. But I did it from the day one because I felt incredibly enraged and angry from the day one, and that was the only way for me to ecologically deal with that anger at that time. And Ukrainian traditional songs are the most powerful thing to do so, and they create the protective shield above the territories. So that was the obvious choice, but also in terms of the genres of those songs, it was mainly the ritual songs, but also the Cossacks songs. The Cossacks are our ancient warriors, and there are many songs that deal with that topic. And there are plenty of songs with plenty of songs on terms on the topic of war, because we've been at war for many centuries, at war and just at need to protect our freedom and independence. So there is enough material to use and reuse. C'est ça.
Thank you. Yeah, and would you say that this singing that opens up the throat is the same than belting?
It has parallels, I believe, but also
Another technique.
Hmm?
Is it another technique?
I believe it is a bit different, but also there would definitely be parallels, because one thing is more ancient maybe than the other.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you. Judith, you had also a question?
Thank you. And first of all, happy birthday, and thank you for being with us today. I was wondering about your opinion and the general mood. Like, what do people think will happen in the next couple of months? Will you start to, or consider that your current life or daily life is going to be your daily life for ages, or are people optimistic that it will change at some point, or how? What's the general mood?
The fighting spirit is super high, but we are slowly coming to terms with the fact that it's a very long-term fight.
Mm-hmm.
Because should there be any kind of peace agreement, it doesn't protect us at all because of the many breaches of any agreements that Russia has always been doing already. So such a thing cannot guarantee peace for us, and there will definitely be another invasion if Russia is not demoralized enough by the sanctions. And just by demoralized, I mean it's shown its place. It's shown the international agreements and the rules of the war, which are supposed to be kept. So people are recognizing the fact that it's a long-term mode, and many of our everyday rituals and practices have come back, but they've gotten that unforgettable flair of the genocide. So everything is having an additional hint, but it's incredible how we manage to sing, to dance, to eat, to sleep, to help others, to calm down others while we are in this position. But the spirits are high still.
Mm. And it leads me to a question I like to ask when we have someone, a guest here. What do you need from us who are outside of Ukraine? Connected to what you just said, because you have a kind of regular life that starts again with cultural activities, and you've been really working a lot that the economy doesn't fall too low. You're full of energy. You continue to build up this incredible creativity that you have. You give us ideas and strength. So if I play a bit with that thought, I could also imagine, okay, so they're doing well. So I don't really need to be really connected to that topic anymore from outside of Europe, outside of Ukraine. But of course, I don't think this way. But how do you need us to be there for you? How can we help?
This aspect of high spirits, high morale could be a dangerous one, because people see how much of fighters we are, and they were like, okay, they will deal with that. They stay cheerful when they post and stuff. But it's precisely this phenomena that should maybe make you care more, because I don't know what is responsible for that, but somehow on this territory, people have been believing in the concept of dignity and this fighting spirit up to the point of naivety, when they expect too many others to follow the same rules, and to also not to take this concept of dignity for granted. So I cannot say I could need something from you, but I could only hope for people to fight informational frontline, to fight propaganda, because we have no doubts that we will win, but we have to share the world somehow with the many, many disinformed people. And I only get desperate somehow when I'm at my lowest, when I think about that, because this is a war on many aspects, but also on the very concept of truth and reality, because of international media. I'm not talking about the curious phenomena of Russian media, but even international media are using such words as alternative facts. This is not a thing. An alternative fact is an oxymoron. So I can only hope that as many people as possible join the informational frontline. And I can recommend an initiative I'm a part of. It's a website called yourexplainers.com. It's available in many languages, and it covers central but often not obvious aspects of this war, and of why we are doing this, why we are grasping so much, what are the dangers for all the other countries, and just the colonialism and stuff. So I would really recommend yourexplainers.com. If there is a way to share it in the comments after or something, I will. Also, maybe if people have some doubts that, or maybe they believe in the aggression behaving in spirals, like you cannot fight aggression with aggression or weapons with weapons, but if it could be fought without weapons, it would have been. And that's another aspect to cover, why diplomacy doesn't work. So people should maybe tune down their narratives on the narratives against delivering heavy weapons to Ukraine. Because, I mean, it's a bit too late to be picking sides after everything we've seen. And another super important aspect is that people stop seeing us as overly emotional and traumatized folk, which cannot see clearly. So Ukrainian media cannot also be trusted because this would be the media from a country which is at war. So we cannot see clearly. But we are not hysterical. We are doing our best. We are as mobilized as never before. And that's the message I would like to share with as many people as possible.
Yeah, I hope, and I think it went through. Yeah. I can continue, but I just would like to ask Joël, because I know your phone battery is low. Is there something you would like to add or ask before your phone will say goodbye?
Pas vraiment, Katharina. Je te souhaite, comme Judith l'a fait, un très bel anniversaire et merci d'avoir pu être là aujourd'hui. Et bravo, bravo pour ce combat moral et physique. Bravo. Voilà, j'ai rien à ajouter.
You got that, I guess. Does anyone else want to ask a question or say something?
Are you still going to celebrate your birthday somehow?
Well, I have a twin brother, and I'm with him at the moment. And I haven't been to Kyiv because of the volunteering for a while. So I just came back, and I just want to do the everyday thing, like riding the bicycles to the other end of the city. And just being here in Kyiv is already a celebration for me.
A twin brother, so happy birthday to him as well. Yeah. Okay. Ruth, you just need to turn on your microphone or it's not working. Maybe there's a technical problem. We don't hear you, but we see you move. It's not working. Well, we will forward your question later to Katerina then, or probably she wanted to wish you a very nice birthday, I guess. Yeah.
Madeleine, I have to go, but Katerina, I stay strong. We're very impressed by all your resilience. So it's very inspiring. So hopefully you can come and see us again in the next couple of weeks. And so in the meantime, take care and be as strong as you have been until now. And have a nice day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And I think we have Ruth, who's back. Somehow. Let's see. Carole, is there anything you would like to add? Tu veux dire quelque chose? No? So that was a very nice answer to how we can be there with you, for you, how we can help. I think you really pointed out some very true and impacting facts. Would you like to add something?
Another good practice is introducing something Ukrainian into your lives, which is not connected to the war, because there's plenty of Ukrainian music, of Ukrainian history topics which could be discussed, media, cooking, which have many of which has also been stolen by Russia and claimed as its own. But again, I meant something not connected to that. Just putting Ukraine back on the map, which has been occupied by Russia for too long, would be super nice, as would also be bringing back the topics of countries which are currently, some of them are post-Soviet countries, independent ones, but some of the folks are still occupied by Russia Federation. And it's another genocide that's being led against those native folks, because Russia is using most of them to send to the front lines. Many of those come from central parts of Russia, but it's another genocide that's been led on the smaller ethnic groups within the Russia Federation, and I think this should be very much brought up.
I thank you really for mentioning this, because sometimes we kind of have the feeling, or we hear that, yes, supporting Ukraine means that we leave the Russians out of this whole topic, and that not all the Russians are behind Putin, and that it's unfair not to consider them. And I think the way you just put it is so important. Yes, the government of Putin is committing another genocide within its own country by delivering the soldiers to Ukraine and killing them. Is that what you mean?
That's one of the aspects, yes.
Yeah.
Because of poor conditions those ethnic groups have been experiencing under the rule of Russia, going to war with Ukraine is the only way for them to bring money to their families and to see something outside Russia, by which I don't mean to pity them. Unfortunately, I have no pity left, because I've heard these past few days, I've heard so many stories of terrible crimes that they committed to just light-filled grandmothers and grandfathers, among many other people. But yes, this is very much a war led by all Russians. not just the government. There is no such thing. The government is the people.
And I think it's interesting because you mentioned two different things, like in the general final attitude in Ukraine, all Russians are committing the crimes. And then there is this inner topic of Russia, which actually, yeah, you want to say something?
That's just the same. The Russia is committing crimes here and within its own country.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, their own people don't care for their own people.
To make it short, I think it's very efficient and we don't need to add anything. Yeah. I have one last question, if it's okay for you. So you have this experience of fighting with your dignity and your creativity and showing resistance, not being a victim, but then also facing all these different topics we've just talked about. What piece of advice can you give to us who are not Ukrainians and who might have to get prepared for some years to come where we don't know what will happen in our countries and how all these geopolitics that is going on right now is going to interfere in our lives? If you had a piece of advice to give to us, what would that be?
I would say work with history and culture of where you are from to strengthen the roots, which then result in greater empathy and this concept of dignity, because that's what gives you the strength in the end. And I've heard many times from my friends and just people abroad that they are citizens of the world, so they don't understand why we hold so tightly to our land. But the concept of nation is not a negative thing. It's not a dangerous thing. And I would say, try rebuilding and strengthening the connection to whichever place and culture you feel that you belong, because it possesses great strengths which will keep you going.
Wow, thank you. This just made me have a flashback of us two sitting next to the National Theatre of Mariupol last summer, because we were together in Mariupol and we had a long talk after a whole visit to the market. We had a long talk about folk music in Ukraine and folk music in Switzerland. Thank you for the reminder. Wow. I'm so grateful for this talk, for everyone who was here. Thank you, Katerina. Anything else to add?
I love your background.
Oh, yes. Isn't it wonderful? It's in the Jura, in the French and Swiss mountains that are not the Alps, but it's like on the border between France and Switzerland. There's some beautiful folk history here.
I see the flowers.
Sorry?
I also see the flowers on Carol's screen.
Yeah. Flowers for your birthday. So we'll be in touch. We'll put these links to UA explainers and we'll look forward to having you back anytime you want to share over the borders with us.
Thank you for everything that you're doing. And it's crazy that it's the 96th time that you do it every day.
Yeah. Well, you have to face rockets and air raids every day, right?
Yes, last time I checked.
So that's the reason why we come every day, you know?
Super nice gesture. Nice and powerful.
Thank you for mentioning it. A strong hug and well, talk to you soon.
Thank you. Stand with Ukraine.
Yes, stand with Ukraine, Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава.
Bye. Bye.